There is something I wanted to talk about in this video that could be considered taboo or might be kind of weird in the sports world. I always thought recording a game on TV was stupid. Like, how could you possibly enjoy a game that has already happened and act like you were seeing it live? You're basically lying to yourself, and rewatching just seemed inauthentic. But the older I got, the more priorities I had. So recording games and having to watch after the game was actually played was all I had to resort to. And I remember never doing this. Like I said, I thought it was stupid. But I remember the first time I recorded a game and rewatched it. Game 1 of the 2015 Stanley Cup Finals between the Lightning and Blackhawks was the first game I ever recorded and watched it all the way through. I was busy during the first two periods, and when I was able to watch the game, I watched it just like it was live. I never wanted to be in this position, but it was all I had to resort to. Recording games was dumb to me, but being totally honest, it was one of the best sports memories I have. Watching the recording of the game and knowing that everyone else knew the outcome except for me was really fascinating to me. And it was something new to me about sports after watching them for so long. I never tried recording a game, and it was just a surreal experience. And it might sound dumb to some people, but I know if you can relate. There are moments in life where you witness something in sports that you'll never forget. And one of mine was me watching a game that everyone had seen except for myself. Now I will admit, it was the perfect scenario for me to remember. One of my favorite hockey teams was playing in the championship, and I remember the last time one of my favorite teams was playing a game in the championship back in 2013, and that was the best game I had ever witnessed that a team didn't win that I wanted to win. The game went to 3 overtimes, and even though the Bruins lost to the Blackhawks, it was still a great game to look back on. And it made me think that the game 1 of this finals was going to be similar since they were only 2 years apart. But the Lightning were up 1-0 through about the entire game. But around 6.5 minutes left, the Blackhawks scored, but I had a feeling the game was going to overtime, and maybe I was going to get what happened back in 2013. But the Blackhawks ended that all real quick, which made me sad. But anyway, my point is that it was fun watching the game, and it really changed my entire perspective on recording a game and watching it later. Now let's talk about rewatching a game. And I'm not talking about watching highlights on SportsCenter or just watching a few clips. I'm literally talking about rewatching the entire freaking game from start to finish. So rewatching a game isn't something I hear very often. I never hear anyone say, hey, let's rewatch Super Bowl 42 or the 2013 NBA Finals. But no lie, I literally rewatched the entire 2007 Super Bowl and enjoyed it so freaking much. That was the first sporting event that I remember watching actually, and it was why I started liking the Patriots. The Giants won the game, but I really wanted the Patriots to win. And I went to bed during the fourth quarter, so I have no memory of how the game ended, and rewatching the game for the first time this past year was a lot of fun to do. I never wanted to watch that game. I've been a diehard Patriots supporter since then, and knowing that if the Patriots would have won that game, that would have made them the best team of all time. And it would have completely ended all of the talk about Tom Brady not being the greatest of all time. But the past year, I worked up the courage to watch the game 10 years later, and it really sparked my interest in rewatching a game. So I started rewatching games that I had never witnessed. I watched the 2008 Final Four championship, I watched the 2010 Stanley Cup Final of Game 6 when the Blackhawks won, and I'm about to watch some other games. But back to watching games I've seen before. I love watching the championship games. Like the 2011 Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final where the Bruins beat the Canucks, and the 2010 National Championship between Duke and Butler are the two games that I've rewatched recently. It does take a while for me to rewatch a game. Like I have no plans to rewatch the Super Bowl from the past year, but I know eventually one day I will. It just depends on how long. I think it really helps the technology we have now.
We have technology!
Where these things are easy to access to watch the games. The NFL YouTube channel literally uploaded the entirety of the Super Bowl between the Giants and Patriots, and that's how I watched it. I just want to access more games from the past for me to watch. I'm pretty nostalgic, so basically any memory I have, I just want to repeat. Now, my hopes is that you guys go and watch an event in sports from your past that you really cherish, or even watch a game that you've never seen before. It is actually pretty entertaining to rewatch a game. I compare it to rewatching a movie. You already know what is going to happen, so what makes rewatching a movie worth it? Well, it's about the story. It's about the emotional connection you have to it. Or maybe it's just a great movie. So rewatching a game is the same thing. It's about the story and not actually who won. A lot of people just want to know the outcome in a game, but in a movie, we like watching the entire story play out. But rewatching games has taught me a lot, that it's more about the story than the outcome at the end. So with that, I say that you should go rewatch a game sometime soon, or even watch one that you haven't seen before. It's actually not as dumb as it sounds.